Welcome back. WNST in so many ways to catch up with old friends, and there's been no one who's turned down an opportunity to come on and tell their Ray Lewis stories. This guy's stories began with me. I was out in the land of Cleve for the John Elway Drive and some of the bad days of his life, but also there for some of the good days, including going into the Ring of Honor. He was a Redskin, although we forget that period of his life. But Earnest Byner is back here to join us now, the purveyor of the original dogs, and you can find EB at eByner out on Twitter, where you are always doing good things in the world. Earnest Byner, always a pleasure to have you on, and I knew you'd be first in line to tell some Ray Lewis stories because yours may be better than anyone's, coming off the boat from Cleveland, the Mean Machine, John Ogden, and you being the veteran sage guy to sort of try to pull this whole thing together along with Ozzie and Art. You should stand pretty proud of where this whole thing went 22 years later, right?
Absolutely, because I really enjoyed my time with Ray. We had a really good relationship. Started off with him, following me as a young pup, his rookie year, trying to hold me in one-on-one. Matter of fact, trying to cover me in one-on-one drills, and he said, "Hey, I'm gonna stick with you, man. I'm gonna stick with you. I'm gonna try to learn everything that you got." Because obviously, the competition is something that drives us, that made us the players that we were, and his competition level was excellent, and for him to have the attitude to grab a hold to me and to follow me, almost wanted to go against me every single chance that he had, was something that really spoke volumes about him. And actually, that's one of the reasons he's in the Hall of Fame today.
What was the first impression for you? I mean, do you remember the first time you laid eyes on this kid that would be one of the greatest to ever play the game? And look, I'm talking, first off, you were in the Hall of Pretty Good yourself, right? I mean, you've got your name into that consideration, and not many people have the opportunity to do that. And then there's you who might never get into the Hall of Fame, and then there's a guy like him that there's no argument. Like, I haven't talked to one writer that walked into the room, they just went in and said, Ray Lewis, okay, we don't need to say much more. There aren't many people, literally, in the history of the game who will ever have that be part of their legacy. And you were one of the few people, along with a Jimmy Schwartz, a Marvin Lewis, Maxie Baughan, handful of people that were out on that field. Phil Savage told some stories last week. The first day Ray Lewis walked onto the field and said, "What's the record? I want to beat it."
Well, you really, as a player, once you start to go against someone, you get a feel for the approach that the guy has. One of the things that I recognized early on is that Ray had this thing called what we call a switch. Ray could be talking to you at one moment about something that had a lot of levity going with it, but then the very next moment when it was time for him to turn it on, bam! He was right there. He was on, and he was in the zone. He was ready to play. He was ready to do everything that it took to be a champion. And you never know as a player right away. But I can tell you this. I'll give you this one story. His second year in the league, it was my last year. Ray, we were doing inside run. That's 907, and I got the ball, and out of nowhere, Ray Lewis feels the hole and gives me a lick that knocks me back. I didn't fall, though. I didn't go down. I maintained my balance, but when we were going back to the huddle, I kind of looked back over my shoulder. He was looking at me with this sly smile, and I kind of felt like that at that point, it was kind of a passing of the guard. It was like the rookie or the player coming of age, and I think that was one of the things that I remember, and that was kind of like Ray coming of age, like, hey, Bet, I got you. You know what I'm saying? So, obviously I'm a little bit upset. I'm pissed off about this, but the young guy got me, but also I could recognize right there, I could see that it was time for him to go to another level, and I think he knew it as well.
I think I was looking forward to my conversation with you maybe more than anyone, because I don't know that you and I have ever really sat around and talked about Ray Lewis. Maybe we did out at the barn, 20 years ago to say, hey, this young guy, he's pretty good, right, Ernest?
Right,
absolutely. And, you made that transition with your relationship with the Modell family and the Browns and Ozzie, from being a player to then being a player development guy and later a coach, and then you had to coach against Ray in various, when you went to Tennessee, when you went to Jacksonville. What do you say to young running backs when you're saying, all right, we're going to go play Ray Lewis in 2007, 8, 9, when he really was sort of on the backside of the prime of his career, but his legend was made. There wasn't any running back that you ever went with the Redskins, Titans, Jaguars, and you played against us every one of those years when you coached, where you had a week of preparation with a young running back that was going to have to go out there and try to figure out in space how to beat, a 32-year-old Ray Lewis, right?
Absolutely. One of the things that I would always try to get my guys to understand, that playing the linebacker position is really almost like the opposite of playing the running back position. The same thing that he's looking at from a defensive perspective is the same thing that the running back is looking at from the other side. So if you understand that, then you understand some of the things that you're going to have to do to try to defeat Ray Lewis, whether it's you trying to pick a hole, whether it's you trying to find a spot in the zone, or if it's you trying to go one-on-one against a player that understands and can see the field the way that you see it just from the other perspective. So that's some of the stuff that I used to try to teach my guys, especially when you're going up against a guy like Ray Lewis and the caliber of guy that I know that this guy has been watching and studying you all week. I'm talking about studying, because I went over to his house some Fridays and sat around with some of the stuff that he was doing with the guys in preparation. So I understood that Ray was studying you. When you thought that Ray was asleep, he was watching film on you. So you got to be doing the absolute same thing.
Well, was that part of what made him special? I mean, Ernie, you put a chin strap on with 1,500 different players in this league, I guess, probably over the years, right? Like literally, not to mention your time as a coach. What made him special? Like, I mean, and that's a hard thing for anybody to put that into perspective, but we all sort of know he got up earlier and stayed up later, and I think all of us like to think that we're that guy, but there was something different about him.
I'll give you one other story about that. And this is the year that we won the Super Bowl, the very first Super Bowl that the Ravens won.
2000 season, right?
It was 2000, and there was a vibe around that team. And part of that vibe was a sense of sacrifice that had to be made to go to the Super Bowl, to actually, first of all, we're in the playoffs. And then for some reason, there was something that came about where they said that we were going to fast and pray. We were going to sacrifice something outside of the game, something, time, food. Everybody was going to sacrifice something. Not necessarily everybody, but the people that bought into that thing that Ray and Shannon were doing to make themselves even more focused, even more worthy of a championship. So they decided as a group to go through this process of sacrifice. And that, to me, was one of the things that made Ray, made Shannon, made any of those guys that are on that level special.
He is Earnest Byner. He's won a couple Super Bowls and had some fun down in D.C. We remember him as a Raven and see his name on the wall, and coming in 96 and part of the Mean Machine. That was an interesting beginning for him, and I know he's going to talk about that, and I remember sitting out with John Ogden one night at the end of 1998, at the end of the Ted administration, and John was wondering whether he was going to stay a Raven or not. Like, he literally openly discussed, like, hey, if this thing doesn't get better around here, I don't like losing. And I know Ray didn't like losing either. And, Brian brought a sea change in. Of course, he's our partner here on behalf of the Living Classrooms Foundation. And I'll be talking to Brian, forever about, what Ray Lewis meant to his career as well. And he'll be out in Canton this week. But, for you to have found this thing where you go out there, you don't have decals on your helmets, you're wearing those Mean Machine Penn State-looking jerseys in the beginning, and Pepper Johnson's supposed to be on the team, Andre Rison's supposed to be on the team. That was a whirlwind situation that not any young player in this league is ever going to find themselves in, which is, I don't even know where Baltimore is. The team doesn't even have a name, and I'm going to go play football there and going to go to the Hall of Fame. I mean, what Ozzie pulled off, and Phil Savage and Art, David, the whole family, that weekend in April of 1996, the 22 years later of what this thing's become here. And by the way, Ernie, I'm wearing that hat that John Ogden gave me on the stage up in New York, the Mean Machine hat with no color in it. Really, this thing on Saturday night's a coronation, not just for Ray, but for Ozzie, for the city, for the franchise, for Art, for you, for everybody that was associated with Art kicking the dogs out in Cleveland. We come back 22 years later with 2 parades. But Ray stands in the middle of all of that. If they draft Leland McElroy that day to go compete with you, literally, we thought they were going to take a running back, and they wound up taking Ray Lewis. It's kind of an amazing story, Ernie. It really is.
It is. Because, going through the process, you never know. Like we talked about Nestor, that, what type of player, you're going to get. You never know what type of fate that we all have. But, one of the things that we knew, especially when we came to Baltimore, was we knew football. We knew that was our foundation. We knew we could always fall back on that. Now, going through that process of moving, relocating, basically starting a franchise over. Now, obviously we were in the shadows of the Colts and that legacy, Lenny Moore and Unitas, all those guys. We were in that shadow because we played in the stadium on 33rd. That was to me was one of the things that really stood out to me about being a Raven, is how we got started and the place that we played in, and knowing that there was a lot of history and stuff that was there, and that we in reality were standing on the shoulders of those championships. Even though we had a different name, we had a different uniform, we were still standing on the legacy that those guys had built, and knowing that was something really special that we can hold on to. I'm very proud to be a part of the Raven Nation and the Raven and being a one of the guys that those Super Bowls, the shoulders of those Super Bowls was built on, and also very proud to have played with a guy like Jonathan Ogden and a guy like Ray Lewis, that have gone on to be Hall of Fame caliber players, and know that these guys, I suited up with these guys. I competed with these guys. I swear, I had blood, sweat, and I had tears with these guys. And also the legacy that they have built is also some of the shoulders that some of these other players now should recognize and be willing to go out there and fight even harder, because they know that Ray Lewis, Jonathan Ogden, Earnest, Byner, all of us have come through there and set the stage for championship quality type of ball to be played.
Earnest Byner is my guest. You can find him at eByner out on Twitter. He's always doing good things out with the Healing Dogs and the Original Dogs. You can find him out on the web at theoriginaldogs.com. At some point, the Browns will rise again. I don't know, Ernie. I mean, who knows, right? But but here's another part of the story here this week that you can talk about more so than probably any other person literally on earth who's still with us, and that's Ozzie. And this is Ozzie's last year. And part of the thing on Saturday, and I know Ozzie was involved with John Ogden's induction, obviously will be featured as well with Ray Lewis this week. But to go back to Cleveland for Ozzie, where he now will probably get another nod somewhere 3 to 5 years from now as another Hall of Famer again as an executive, because nobody's done it better than him.
No question.
Talk about Ozzy's relationship as this relates to Ogden and Ray Lewis, because Ray's coronation on Saturday is also that of Ozzie Newsome, because I remember the meme machines. I'm wearing a hat. The whole notion that Art hired Ozzie and you to some degree, even as a running back here, there was all this, well, you were the loyal guys. You were the guys willing to leave Cleveland. You went along with the family plan and all that. And at the time, it was perceived in the industry as a little bit of an inside joke. Ozzie's going to run the football team because, who's going to come work for Art in Baltimore anyway? Let's see how that goes. And 23 years later, he might be the greatest executive to do this in the modern era. And Ray is part of that on Saturday. And you remember Ozzie as a Hall of Fame player when you were drafted. He was on a pathway to be a Hall of Famer, right?
Absolutely. One of the things that stood out to me as a player, I'll start there, is that on the sidelines on game day, first of all, you all didn't see the catches that Ozzie made, the really good catches. You're talking about at practice. This is a guy who's made himself and modeled the thing about being perfect, seeking perfection. Ozzie Newsome sought perfection, and some of the greatest catches that nobody ever saw was at some of the practices that we had, as a Brown. One of the things that stands out to me for Ozzie as well was he was always trying to get better. On game day, he would sit on the sideline and toss a thing of wrapping tape up and down and watch it all the way back to his hands. That was part of his preparation process. One of the things that Ozzie also did, to me, Ozzie took the mentality as a player of trying to be perfect and always learning, because Ozzie was a winner as a player too. Obviously, we didn't get to the big dance, but Ozzie also understood how to become a winner and how to always, as a winner, try to learn, develop, grow, but then also try to teach. That was one of the things. I think those are some of the qualities that made Ozzie a great GM and made him, go ahead and actually help other people develop. See, it wasn't just about Ozzie for him. It was about the legacy that he had, the position that he had from Mr. Modell. To me, Mr. Modell treated us almost like we were his kids. We were his sons. I mean, he sat me down. Mr. Modell sat me down as a former player. Right when they decided that I wasn't good enough to play anymore. But he sat me down.
That's always. I think fans really don't understand that day, and every athlete has that day, right? Whatever that day, yep. Even a guy like you was pretty good. You have that day where this is the. Not everybody goes out in confetti and a parade like Ray. That's another unique part of this on Saturday. Him and Jerome Bettis and maybe Peyton Manning. That'll be about it, right?
Right, no question. See, but it was a beautiful thing for him to have that type of relationship with some of his players. And Ozzie was someone that had that same type of feel. What Ozzie did was take what Mr. Modell had given him and made it better. And see, and that's one of the things that you want to do as a player, as a former player, or as a player today. You want to take the opportunity that has been given to you, and you want to leave that opportunity a little bit better. First of all, for yourself, but then also for the legacy that's going to be left behind you, and for the people that are coming after you. So those are the things I believe that Ozzie, Ray, Jonathan, Mr. Modell, David, Kevin Byrne, all of Bob Eller, all of these guys they gleaned something from Mr. Modell, but also they've taken what the opportunity that he gave them and made it even better. And that's part of the legacy right now that the Ravens have, and the legacy that Ray, Jonathan, and I'm so proud to come to be a part of that legacy as well.
What are you going to be thinking when Ray takes the stage late into the night on Saturday night? First off, I know everybody's looking forward to the speech. I don't know that there's ever been a guy giving a speech who was known for giving speeches.
Right.
And he's going to have some time to put this one together. Most of his speeches weren't scripted, but this is his format, right? Taking the pulpit and giving the speech of all speeches. And I'm sure he's been working on his speech for a decade. That's the thing everybody's talked about. Like, I won't miss what Ray Lewis has to say on Saturday night. We got 4 busloads going out, Ernie.
Yeah. See, Ray is he's a preacher, to tell you the truth. Ray has that gift to be able to, first of all, understand that he has the influence, but also the gift to be able to hear from the inner man, from the spirit, as to what needs to be said. I'm sure he has some things scripted that he definitely wants to cover, but I would not be surprised if Ray the spirit gets within Ray and he goes off script, and actually this is one of the things I think that he's actually been preparing for, but also it's something that he's going to go and say, hey, I'm going to follow what the inner man says to me to give to the world, not just to NFL and not just to sports fans, but what is he going to give to the world today or this Saturday that really can be impactful? And I think Ray Lewis will be in touch with that. And he will do the absolute best that he can as far as that is concerned.
What's filling your days these days, Earnest Byner? I'm sure football-related stuff, but you were coaching in the league for a period of time. What do you do with your time these days, buddy?
Well, I help out a little bit with a high school. I do some consulting down in Florida called Out of Door Academy. But one of the biggest things that I'm doing now is if people can go to the originaldogs.com. We sell popcorn, pretzels, beef. Tremendous products. We sell cheese crisps. So if people can go to actually, I'm trying to get them into the stores up in Northeast Ohio, but they can be ordered online. And the thing that if you buy the products from the originaldogs.com, you support the healingdogs.com. And one of the things that I did through the Healing Dogs was actually came down to Baltimore and visited veterans and that couldn't leave their room. We actually had a little story put out about the thing that we did down there. We actually went to a place called MC Vet. If y'all can look that up, MC Vet. It's a place where homeless veterans, they take them in, and within 2 years they've gone through the program, and they come out with a job and with a house and with a vehicle that they can go and get around. So MC Vet is one of the places.
I'm on that right now. MC Vet, Veterans Helping Veterans. It's mcvetvet.org. And the phone number is 410-576-9626. You can get info at mcvet.org.
Right.
You can become a volunteer. I'm on the website right here. This is great work right here in Baltimore on 301 High Street. It's right over by my friends at Amici's over by Little Italy.
See, and one of the things that I like to do is to take care of my foundation. And I mean my foundation, where I came from. So we did the veterans in D.C., we did it in Cleveland, and we also did it in Baltimore. And we also are national, for the National Salute to our veterans. I'm one of the spokespeople for that. So we're involved with the veterans, we're involved with the juveniles, and we're involved in trying to help the homeless. And my foundation is called the Healing Dogs. And the only reason the reason I use the Healing Dogs is because healing is always happening, whether it's mind, body, or spirit. So we use that, and we try to pass the love that God has given us. Just that real basic spiritual love. That is what we call agape love. We try to pass that on to vets, kids, and also the homeless. So that keeps me kind of busy, man. Now, don't think Raven Nation. You can support the Healing Dogs. Just because it's called the dog, don't mean that. I mean,
yeah, I got a colorblind issue. I'm seeing a lot of orange here. I don't see any purple here.
But if you go to my website, EarnestByner21.com, you'll see a mixture of orange, of purple, and of the Redskins. So,
well, I don't see that. I never see burgundy. You know me.
But to tell you the truth, man, we our foundation it takes care of a whole bunch of a variety of places, and I love again taking care of my foundation. My foundation is part Raven, part Redskin, part Brown, and if the Raven Nation can show me some love as well, then they'll actually be showing love to people that are less fortunate, that need a helping hand.
That's why you were one of the Nice Guy Award winners in my original year, Ernie, because you're still doing it strong,
Yes,
23 years later. Always appreciate you, man. Much love to you in the East Carolina. I try to think of you as East Carolina because that doesn't offend me like the Browns and the Redskins do. So take care of yourself, and we'll all be thinking of you on Saturday night as well. As it really is a coming together of the Ravens Nation.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be there, too. So
then I got to get a selfie with you. You and I will take a picture together on Saturday night.
Let's do it.
You got Earnest Byner. There he goes, number 21 in your program, and certainly on the wall in the Ravens Ring of Honor because of the kind of human being he is. The originaldogs.com, and locally he's working with MC Vet, Veterans Helping Veterans. So there you have it. Some old Ray Lewis stories. Everybody's telling their stories. The Goose is going to be joining us here this week. Brian Billick, so many friends. Whew, man, it's going to get dusty up in here by Saturday night. Still have some room on the Ray Lewis bus this week if you want to join us. Throw me a note, nasty at WNST.net. The Road Trips tab is still open. You can just go click and buy right now. I have a handful of seats left on the Thursday bus, on the Friday bus, and on the Saturday bus. All different prices, different ranges. And get your spirit out to Ohio with us on Saturday night. Come see the Hall of Fame. Have some fun with us on the trip this weekend. If you can make it, we still have some space. I'm out on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on our Facebook as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. Our morning newspaper delivers directly to your email inbox each and every morning at 7 a.m. It's all brought to you by our friends at Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com, where it's still $10 a month to get in the best shape of your life, guaranteed. Also brought to you by the Maryland Jockey Club and our friends at Laurel. And the Laurel Racetrack open this weekend for racing. Sportsbook's open. It's air conditioned. The food's great. The vibe's great. Completely remodeled. Get down to Laurel. If you haven't been there lately, you haven't been to Laurel. Any breaking news happens first on the WNST Tech Service. That's all brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. And, of course, Dennis Colossus will be here from 3 until 5 doing the SSV on WNST, driving you home, getting you ready for Canton, Ohio this weekend. I guess baseball season's over, right? So it's all Lamar Jackson on Thursday. It's all Ray Lewis on Saturday. And then after that, we got a Buffalo game on the 9th of September we'll be getting ready for around here. It's going to be a great month, great week of conversation. Big thanks to two of our new sponsors, Charles Newsonoff and Sons. Sydney Newsonoff back with us. Get over there to Parkville. They've been doing it forever and doing it better than anybody in the jewelry business. They also have some Ravens trinkets over there you want to check out as well. Some love also to our friends at Sporticulture. Speaking of Ravens stuff, I'm going to have some beautiful Ravens plants behind me here, all officially licensed NFL stuff. You can ship it. My pal's going to tell you how to do that, Court. We're going to bring him on. Sporticulture.com. When you use the code WNST, it's half price all year long for your Ravens flowers. And even if you got some Earnest Byner in your life, you got to send some Browns or some Redskin stuff, it does make a great gift. Very affordable and one click away, Sporticulture.com. I am Nestor. Everything you find here at WNST.net and on AM 1570 you can find in the buyatoyota.com audio vault. That's there 24 hours a day. From anywhere in the world, you can listen live, listen to what you want, when you want, where you want. It's a lot of Ray Lewis stuff this week, as well as some Adam Jones and some Orioles residue around the trading deadline. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.